What's up YouTube, it's James the Blue Engine, and today I'm going to be recapping the 2025 Texas Tech Red Raiders football season. Yes, you see, the Texas Tech Red Raiders are coming off a very historically dominant season, as they finished the 2025 season with a 12-2 record and an 8-1 record against the Big 12. We finished 11-1 in the regular season and 1-1 in the postseason. One of the biggest highlights this season was routing BYU 34-7 in the Big 12 championship, giving us our first Big 12 title and set the school record for most wins in a single season. This win also guaranteed that we get a first round bye in the playoffs. And although we did lose, all of our regular season wins and the aforementioned Big 12 game were blowouts, as we scored more than 3 touchdowns in every single game, including 2 shutout victories and 2 points where we gave up 14 points and a 60-point blowout, 60-point beatdown in week 1. ESPN says our defense was the key to our success, as we finished with the number 3 scoring defense in the FBS, allowing only 11.25 points per game. To make things better, we drew an average home attendance of 60,143, which is the 28th highest of all college football teams. Anyways, here's a breakdown of every single game of the Texas Tech Red Raiders season. Week 1 against FCS Arkansas Pine Bluff Lions. Man, this sure was a perfect beatdown to open the season, as we won by a whopping score of 67-7. Quarterback Byron Martin threw 4 touchdowns for 201 yards, and the game was suspended at halftime due to a thunderstorm entering Lubbock, and we led 47-0 at half. Once the game resumed, both the third and fourth quarters were limited to 8 minutes, both due to the storm and how big our lead was. Unfortunately, Byron Martin was injured after getting hit by Golden Lions edge Tavion Hardwick and tweaked his lower right leg, but was eventually called for roughing the passer. Then he and Coach Joey McGuire conferred with the medical staff, leaving the field. But Will Hammond, who was the backup quarterback, led 2 more scoring drives, as we put up all points on all 8 times they possessed the football, with 6 touchdowns and 2 field goals before halftime. Even third-string quarterback Mitch Griffiths got in on the action, as he completed a 13-yard touchdown pass to Bryson Jones, with 3:20 left in the game. The Golden Lions eventually put up points on their own on the board when they were down 61-0, when quarterback Christian Peters threw a 7-yard touchdown pass to wide receiver Ellis Stewart to trim our lead to 61-7. But Texas Tech got the last laugh on the aforementioned touchdown, demolishing the Golden Lions 67-7. The next game, week 2, they were home again, this time hosting another overmatched opponent, the Kent State Golden Flashes. Yes, the same Golden Flashes that went 0-12 last season. The Red Raiders once again pounded their opponent, winning 62-14. Byron Morton returned as he threw for 258 yards and 3 touchdowns. And Texas Tech's defense intercepted quarterback Drew DeShields, returning with Skylar Gill Howard returning one of his picks for a 55-yard pick six to extend the lead to 38-0. He once again held a 40-plus point lead at halftime, as our halftime lead was 48-0. Byron Morton started once again, this time only playing in the first half, completing 18 of 26 yards, before eventually getting replaced by Will Hammond, who ran through a touchdown pass and ran for another one in the second half. Kent State's all 14 points came in the fourth quarter when they were trailing 55-0. They scored back-to-back touchdowns, with Drew DeShields rushing for 10 yards to put Kent State on the board, and throwing a 16-yard bomb to Cade Wolford to cut Texas Tech's lead to 55-14 before allowing a late Red Raider score to make the final score 62-14. In the last game out of our 3 straight home games to begin the season, were against the winless Oregon State Beavers team. And yes, just like the first week, the game was delayed by weather, as the play was stopped for 2.5 hours, just 2.5 minutes into the game. Running back Cameron Dickey added a short touchdown run to secure our win, as we would lead 28-0 and 45-0 through the first 3 quarters of the game, and outgained the Beavers 5-13 to 282 yards. And after Cam Dickey's 4-yard run, the Beavers added back-to-back garbage time touchdowns, both passes from quarterback Malik Murphy to make the final score 45-14. And this was the first time this season that Byron Morton played the first 3 quarters of the game. He was 901 yards passing and 11 touchdown passes heading into the Big 12 play. Speaking of which, the next game was our first game against a Big 12 opponent, as we were on the road for the first road game of the season to face number 16 Utah Utes, who were both 3-0. And although Texas Tech was a slight underdog, they managed to overcome a tight first 3 quarters before pulling away for a 34-10 victory and handing the Utes their first loss of the season. Most of the action was done by quarterback Will Hammond, along with running back Cam Dickey, who scored 2 rushing touchdowns, and wide receiver Reggie Virgil, who caught a 21-yard pass from Will Hammond, as well as Terrence Carter, who scored on a 24-yard touchdown pass from Hammond. The Red Raiders defense intercepted Utes quarterback Devin Dampier intercepting him twice, as the Utes were held to 263 total yards and turned the ball over 4 times, compared to the Red Raiders' 2 turnovers. After the Red Raiders put up a 7-0 lead, Utah State's 69-yard touchdown pass from Jackson Benny to Dampier was nullified by an ineligible receiver penalty. Nevertheless, the Utes eventually got on the board after Dylan Curtis missed a 47-yard field goal, but Texas Tech was called for roughing the kicker. So he eventually converted a 32-yard field goal to give the Red Raiders a 10-3 halftime lead. But Stone Harrington for Texas Tech kicked a 25-yard field goal to go up 13-3 in the fourth quarter. The Utes managed to get a touchdown to creep closer to 3 points when running back Washawn Parker ran for 5 yards. But that's as close as the Utes would get, however, as Texas Tech scored 3 consecutive touchdowns to seal the victory and improved to 4-0. In Week 5, we were ranked number 11 facing off against the Houston Cougars, defeating them by the score of 35-11. The game did start out slow, as the first 4 points of the game, The first 12 points of the game came on 3 Texas Tech field goals and a Houston Cougars field goal to give Texas Tech a 9-3 lead. But the game's first touchdown didn't come until Byron Morton threw a 69-yard touchdown bomb to Cam Dickey, and they would eventually fail the 2-point conversion to settle for a 15-3 lead. We later extended it to 22-3 and 25-3 on a Jacoby Williams 5-yard run and a Stone Harrington 26-yard field goal. We led 25-11 at half after Houston Cougars quarterback Zion Chris threw a 64-yard touchdown pass to Amari Thomas, who was their wide receiver, and converted a 2-point conversion pass to Steven Johnson. But the Texas Tech Red Raiders would get the last laugh, scoring 10 more points in the second half en route to sealing the victory. This next game started out sluggish. Although we had to host a 4-2 Kansas Jayhawks, who were looking off to pull a massive upset over the 5-0 Red Raiders, who were ranked number 9 in the FBS. And Texas Tech scored the game's first 21 points before allowing the Jayhawks to rally to keep the game close. First on a LaShawn Williams 10-yard pass from quarterback Jalen Daniels, another Jalen Daniels touchdown pass from Bowden Gruen, this time from 24 yards, which was set up by an interception from Texas Tech. And then ended the half with a 55-yard field goal from kicker Laith Marjan. But that's as close as the Jayhawks would get to pulling off the upset, however, as they were held scoreless in the second half, as the Red Raiders pulled off 21 unanswered points to win the game 42-17 on a Will Hammond 20-yard run, a Cam Dickey 55-yard run, and another touchdown run from Will Hammond, this time from 10 yards. Both teams committed a turnover with the aforementioned Texas Tech interception. And that left us at number 7 in the FBS. Now this next game was a different story. That's right. We had to face off against the Arizona State Sun Devils, who were coming off an embarrassing blowout loss to the Utes, and were only 4-2, and were trying to pull off an upset as Texas Tech was a heavy favorite coming into the game, as they held a 6-0 record. It started out sluggish for both teams, as the only points of the first quarter came from a Jesus Gomez 34-yard field goal to give the Sun Devils a 3-0 lead. He'd kick another field goal, this time from 47 yards, to extend Arizona State's lead to 6-0. Texas Tech would later get on the board when Will Hammond threw a 30-yard pass to Corey Eakin to give Texas Tech a 7-6 lead. However, only for Jesus Gomez to give the Sun Devils a 9-7 lead via a 26-yard field goal. Unfortunately, the second half didn't go well, as Will Hammond would throw an interception on the first few plays in the third quarter, which ultimately set up a Sun Devils touchdown, which was a Jordan Tyson 2-yard touchdown pass from quarterback Sam Levitt to extend Arizona State's lead to 16-7. They later extended it with a 28-yard field goal to go up 19-7. And this is where the initial comeback began for Texas Tech, as Will Hammond ran for 1 yard to shorten Arizona State's lead to 19-14. And then 1 minute later, he connected with Reggie Virgil on a 12-yard touchdown pass and ran in for the 2-point conversion to give us a 22-19 lead. Unfortunately, the Sun Devils ultimately got the last laugh, as running back Raleek Brown ran for a 1-yard 6 touchdown to give Arizona a 26-22 lead, and Will Hammond's attempted Hail Mary to bring us to 7-0 fell incomplete, securing the upset win over a team that just got blown out by a team we just blew out 3 weeks earlier. They gave up 10 points to that same team. The Sun Devils scored. The Sun Devils scored 10 points against the Utes, which we only allowed 10 points scored by the Utes. Anyways, on to the next game. Yep, the game you've been waiting for. The bounce-back game against 1-6 Oklahoma State, who entered this game, entered Lubbock on a 6-game losing streak, getting ready to face off against 14th ranked Red Raiders. Yes, we ultimately bounced back by destroying destroying the Cowboys 42-0 to hand them their 7th straight loss. It all started with the Jacoby Williams returning the opening kickoff 99 yards for a touchdown to give Texas Tech a 7-0 lead. Following that play, the Cowboys' first possession was just a 3-and-out. Then on the ensuing punt, Cowboys punter Wes Powell's punt went nowhere because Oliver Miles III ran up and blocked it. The blocked punt was eventually covered by Terrell Tillman, and Texas Tech capitalized on the turnover when Will Hammond threw a 26-yard touchdown pass to Jacoby Williams, only for Upton Bellafant to miss the extra point, leaving the score 13-0. Both teams punted by a combined total of 3 times, with the Red Raiders only punting once and the Cowboys punting twice. The Red Raiders would then go on in a whopping 13-yard play that lasted for 5 minutes and 48 seconds and ended with Cam Dickey adding a 7-yard rushing touchdown to give Texas Tech a 21-0 first quarter lead. The second quarter did not go so well for both teams, as they both turned it over on downs and fumbled the ball twice. But hey, at least we only had to punt once, combined to the Cowboys punting 3 times. Here's a review of the 2 fumbles that occurred in the second quarter. Texas Tech fumbled when Will Hammond was strip sacked by Tajay McCoy, who recovered the loose ball himself. But then 3 plays later, Oklahoma State, it was the Cowboys' turn to fumble. And Oklahoma State was facing 1st and 10 at our own 21 when Oklahoma State quarterback Sam Jackson V was trying to hand the ball off to running back Cesar Valahi, whatever it's pronounced, only for Ceci to get the ball ripped out of his hands by linebacker Jacob Rodriguez, who returned the ball 69 yards for a scoop and score touchdown to extend Texas Tech's lead to 28-0. The fumble return touchdown occurred with 5 minutes and 30 seconds left in the first half. Will Hammond did throw a pick in the second half, but it was called back when the Cowboys were penalized for being offsides on a free play. And the Red Raiders scored a 42-yard touchdown pass by third string Mitch Griffiths to Caleb Douglas to extend the Red Raiders' lead to 35-0. And just like the second quarter, both teams fumbled twice. Both teams fumbled, with Ike SMU and Charles Esters III recovering both fumbles respectively. And 2 plays after a fumble, Griffiths punched his way into the end zone for a 1-yard rushing touchdown to make for the final score play of the game, as Upton Belafant missed a 45-yard field goal. Stone Harrington missed a 45-yard field goal with 5 minutes and 49 seconds left in the game, which would have made the final score 45-0 instead of 42-0. But hey, I gotta say, this is one of my favorite games this season. And to make things better, this was the first time we posted a shutout win over a fellow Big 12 opponent since defeating Baylor 28-0 in 2005. Then that following week, we faced off against the Kansas State Wildcats, who would strike first blood, with quarterback Avery Johnson rushing 46 yards for a score to give Kansas State a 7-0 lead. Still, the Texas Tech Red Raiders scored 12 unanswered points in the second quarter on a Stone Harrington 29-yard field goal, Kim Dickey 1-yard rushing touchdown, and a Stone Harrington 55-yard field goal to give Texas Tech a 12-7 halftime lead. Texas Tech scored the first points of the second half by Jacoby Williams running 41 yards for a touchdown to give Texas Tech a 19-7 lead, although it was cut by another Avery Johnson rushing touchdown with 9 minutes and 51 seconds left in the third quarter to cut the lead to 19-14. Stone Harrington kicked another Texas Tech field goal to give us a 22-14 lead, followed by a Byron Morton 1-yard touchdown pass to Caleb Douglas to make the third quarter score 29-14 in favor of Texas Tech. The Wildcats scored which went on to score the first points of the fourth quarter on a Avery Johnson 9-yard passing touchdown to Garrett Oakley, but Kansas State would fail the 2-point conversion pass to cut our lead to 29-20. That was as close as they get, however, as Texas Tech scored 14 more points, scored the game's last 14 points, which were on a John Curry 10-yard fumble return and a Caleb Douglas 19-yard pass from Byron Morton to make the final score 43-20 in favor of Texas Tech. Texas Tech won the interception battle with Byron Morton throwing one interception, and Kansas State's Avery Johnson throwing 2 interceptions, and won the overall turnover battle 5-2. We dominated total yards 436 to 325, rushing yards 187 to 126, and passing yards 249 to 199. The next week, we welcomed the unbeaten number 7 BYU Cougars and an eventual preview of the Big 12 championship game. Texas Tech scored the first 29 points, which included a 13-0 halftime lead, before BYU got on the board with a Chase Roberts 6-yard pass from quarterback Beard Batchmeyer to cut the lead to 26-7. But Stone Harrington got the last laugh by kicking a 34-yard field goal to seal a 29-7 win for the Red Raiders, while handing BYU its first loss of the season. In Week 11, we welcomed the UCF Knights, who are 4-5, coming off a close loss to Houston. And like I said, we were heavy favorites in this game. And we proved it as we built a 38-2 halftime lead, with our points coming on 5 touchdowns and 1 field goal, while UCF's only points coming on as safety when left tackle Howard Sampson was called for offensive holding. Before that, Texas Tech scored the first 21 points of the game before the safety to lead 21-2, but scored the last 17 points of the half on a Reggie Virgil 30-yard run, Reggie Virgil 8-yard pass from Byron Morton, and a Stone Harrington 45-yard field goal. UCF got the first points of the second half when quarterback Tavion Jackson connected with Dylan Wade on an 8-yard touchdown pass to cut the lead to 38-9 before giving up the last 10 points of the game on the Stone Harrington 53-yard field goal and Cam Dickey 1-yard run to make the final score 48-9 with no scoring in the fourth quarter. Had the Knights gone for 2 in the third quarter, that score would have been 38-10, 41-10, and the final score would have been 48-10. But hey, at least we still got the blowout and secured our largest win against the UCF Knights with a 39-point differential. To handed UCF its worst loss since falling 52-7 to the Bearcats in 2015, which was the season they finished 0-12. Now the final game of the season, Yes, another shutout. We would go on the road for the season finale to face off against the West Virginia Mountaineers, as the Texas Tech entered as number 5 ranked in the country. We dominated this game, winning 49-0, beating 21-0 after the first quarter, 28-0 at half, 42-0 in the third quarter, and winning by the score of 49-0. And we outgained the Mountaineers 32-9 in first downs, 572 to 180 in total yards, 188 to 37 in rushing yards, and 384 to 143 in passing yards, and 40 minutes to 20 minutes in time of possession. It was Byron Morton who was the star of the game, throwing 3 touchdown passes to Cam Dickey, Caleb Douglas, and Byron Morton. One to Cameron Dickey and 2 to Caleb Douglas in the first half, all of which were in the first half. Before backup quarterback Larry Jones III threw a 15-yard pass to Micah Hudson in the third quarter, and another one to the same receiver from 30 yards in the fourth quarter to secure our second shutout win of the season. And on to the Big 12 championship game. Yes, the one I've been discussing about in December. You remember those videos of the preview and the recap? Yes, I'm going over it again. And although both teams finished with 11-1 records, Texas Tech got home field advantage based on their aforementioned head-to-head victory in Week 10. Yes, the game did not go so well for Texas Tech, as they allowed running back L.J. Martin to run 10 yards for the game's first touchdown to give the Cougars a 7-0 lead. Those were the only points that Cougars would score all day, as we would score 34 unanswered points en route to a 34-7 victory in the Big 12 championship to secure our first ever Big 12 title. Here's the Texas Tech scoring. Stone Harrington kicked a 23-yard field goal to put Texas Tech on the board, and that with 4 seconds into the second quarter to face a 7-3 deficit. They would then take the lead when Byron Morton threw a 33-yard touchdown pass to Corey Eakin to give us a 10-7 lead. In the last points of the second quarter, in the first half, were on a Stone Harrington 40-yard field goal to give Texas Tech a 13-7 halftime lead. We scored 21 points. We went on to score 21 points in the second half, with Cam Dickey scoring the first one on an 11-yard touchdown run, followed by a Byron Morton to Terrence Carter Jr. 2-point conversion pass to give us a 21-7 lead. We later extended it in the fourth quarter with a Stone Harrington 44-yard field goal. In the fourth to give us a 24-7 lead. And Corey Eakin caught another touchdown pass from Byron Morton, this time from 28 yards, to give us a 31-7 lead. And the last points of the game were delivered by Stone Harrington, who kicked a 28-yard field goal to secure the 34-7 blowout victory. The only 2 miscues for Texas Tech were when Stone Harrington missed 2 field goals in both halves. Had Stone Harrington made those field goals, the final score would have been 40-7. But hey, at least we still dominated despite the misses. We outgained them Red Wheelers outgained the Cougars 19-14 in first downs, 374 to 200 in total yards, 159 to 63 in rushing yards, 215 to 137 in passing yards. Won the turnover battle 4-0 and possessed the ball for 31 minutes and 54 seconds while allowing the Cougars to hold the ball for 28 minutes and 6 seconds. And last but not least, the heartbreaker of our season. Whew. After the first round bye, we were embarrassed. We were facing off against 5th ranked Oregon Ducks. Yeah, so this game was not great. We lost 23-0. It was the Orange Bowl, aka college football playoff quarterfinal. The Ducks really killed us, scoring the only 6 points of the first half en route to a 6-0 halftime lead. They later scored 17 more points to secure the win. The Red Raiders had a chance at avoiding the shutout, but Stone Harrington missed a field goal that would have made the final score 23-3. We were outgained 15-10 in first downs, 309 to 215 in total yards, 245 to 137 in passing yards. Lost the turnover battle 4-1 and held the ball for only 22 minutes while Oregon held it for 38 minutes. We at least won the rushing yards battle 78 to 64. Otherwise, just a heartbreaking end to a historic season for Texas Tech. But that doesn't mean we can't dominate again in 2026. This was my favorite Texas Tech season in football, and I do hope to write a book about this sometime soon. Anyways, thank you all for watching this video. Make sure y'all hit like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye! And double suck! Go! And red!